In this video, we'll be checking out our top 5 aberrant creature mods from ARK Survival Ascended. These shall all be custom and original modded creatures available on the CurseForge platform. And if you'd like to see more of these top 5 videos, don't forget to hit subscribe and follow the channel. Starting off at number 5, we have the Arketypes Bombardier Beetle by Snappin. By default, this Arketypes mod introduces 3 variants of beetles, being the Bombardier Beetle for the island and the center, the Blaze Beetle for Scorched Earth, and the most recent one, the Blister Beetle for Aberration. These beetles make for very easy early game tames where you simply have to walk up to them, hit E and show off your favourite weapons, and they will cheer and approve and become your friend. In the case of Aberation's Blister Beetle, you need to show off your torpor dealing weapons such as your trank arrows, trank darts, and shocking trank darts. Meaning that if you try hard enough, you can get your very own Blister Beetle very early, as they do spawn in the green biome. What makes the Blister Beetle an appealing tame is that they have a slight hover in which they do very slowly elevate, not a true flight, more like a terror bird gliding, but one that does allow a very slow elevation, which can be handy in the very vertical planes that is Aberration. The Blister Beetle is also capable of a ranged attack, shooting corrosive acid to its targets, which can inflict heavy dot damage. And they do also naturally produce gas balls in their inventory over time, and thus also sport a weight reduction to carrying gas balls. However, an important note is that while the Blister Beetle may seem like a nice early game form of vertical glide/flight, they are not immune to radiation, they are vulnerable, so they really will only matter in the green and blue biomes. Plus they're quite fragile, so they're not much of a combat tame either. But they can allow you to get a really safe location where you can build yourself a safe starter shack. At number 4, we have the Light Bug from Untameables by Myrmecoleon. The Light Bug is the recreated form of the general glow bug that you see flying pretty much everywhere across all of Aberration, just that these are of course tameable. These are a very simple knockout tame, which prefer to eat plant species Z seeds, and once obtained, they make for a simple shoulder pet. However, what makes the Light Bug stand out amongst other shoulder pets of Aberration is that instead of a temporary full charged light that makes Nameless and Reapers vulnerable, the Light Bug, when mounted onto your shoulder, would instead emit a permanent low charge light, which will prevent all Nameless from spawning and also prevent Seekers from aggroing to you, but at the expense that it is not a strong enough charge light to deal extra damage to Nameless and Reapers. Still, for a constant passive effect, it's pretty effective, especially in the blue biome where the Nameless seem to be ever more present in the Ascended version of Aberration. And then, shoulder pet utility aside, if you place charged batteries into the inventory of a Light Bug, it will recharge your batteries over time just like if you would put them into a charge node. And for an organic creature which you can bring with you, transfer to other maps, and keep on taming many more of them, they actually charge your batteries very quickly as well. And that makes the Light Bug a surprisingly powerful source of constant generator tier power. At number 3, we have the Jumping Spider by Cyrus. The Jumping Spider is, as you can imagine, a spider that likes to jump. This creature sports probably the furthest jump out of any creature available in ARK Ascended, and if you enable wall climbing mid-leap, it'll also grapple onto the first one it makes contact with and can crawl along entire surfaces just like rock drakes, Megalania, and so on. By default, the Jumping Spider can also toggle between a regular attack and a torpor dealing attack, meaning that these guys are surprisingly effective at knocking out wild creatures. And especially for the aberrant jumping spiders, if you leave silk in their inventory, they can consume that silk to shoot a projectile attack which will slow targeted enemies similar to that of Araneo, which can be especially useful for getting away from threats or slowing down potential enemies. Especially handy as the jumping spider itself is not the strongest fighter, so between its slowing effect and its incredible jump means it can always get you away safely. The Jumping Spider is also safe in irradiated areas, and the males in particular can do a dance which will shoot a burst of charge light all around it, which will effectively scare away all Nameless, in addition to providing 15 seconds of charge, which will prevent further Nameless from spawning. Altogether, this makes for the Jumping Spider to be a very effective aberrant scouting creature. Moving on to number 2, we have a tie between MoroNada's Nothosaurus and Paleoark's Cryptoclidus. We've decided to join these two together as a tie because they do perform somewhat similar roles, although they both have their clear niches. And the similarities is that they are both terrestrial but aquatic tames, so they can travel primarily in water but also come onto land, and they are both efficient at gathering pearls. Now, on the one hand, the Nothosaurus is a much better fighter altogether, and with the sheer quantity of small creatures spawning in Aberration, means that they can power up their electric-based charge attacks much faster and therefore deal rapid AoE damage and obliterate swarms, particularly Nameless, and can be used to track and highlight silica pearls, making them much easier to find in Aberration's new environment. As opposed to the Cryptoclidus, it is not much of a fighter, but it is naturally stealthy with a ghillie-like effect. Cryptoclidus is also immune to jellyfish, which makes it safer to travel with on top of the lesser aggro range, but it can also harvest biotoxin. It can harvest pearls, but it can't find them as effectively as the Nothosaurus. And Cryptoclidus also has the ability to cloak nearby allied Tames so that they too will remain safe against enemy creatures. The stealthy Cryptoclidus is safe in irradiated locations, whereas the more combat-orientated Nothosaurus is not safe in irradiated areas. Thus, the two have their pros and cons, but ultimately fulfill a similar role of getting that really hard to find resource being silica pearls, and are very fast travelers in the blue biome and portions of the green biome. Their niche utility arises more in the mid-game, but they perform their roles better than anything else within this list. And thus, our number 1 modded aberrant creature goes to Laelaps from Retrosauria Assemblage by Crooked. With Laelaps being the number 1 of this list, we should also give an honourable mention to Angiodemus by Tristan and the small Carcard TLC by Big Al, since all 3 of these creatures perform similar roles of being large apex theropods, being found in the mid and late game biomes of Aberration, and generally just being crazy meat farmers that deal lots of damage. But rather being a 3-way tie just due to them being big agri carnivores, Laelaps does pull slightly further ahead due to its crazy jumping capabilities. Laelaps does also gain a rivalry buff when in proximity to large carnivorous creatures, both allied and enemy creatures alike, which can make them surprisingly effective at fighting large targets such as Spinosaurus and rock drakes. In addition to the aforementioned crazy jumping skills, means that it can traverse the vertical terrain of Aberration much faster and more effectively compared to the other creatures in this list. Not to mention that everyone likes a creature that can defend itself, especially when diving down to the red biome looking for rare resources, rock drakes, or even reapers. You want to make sure that you're fully prepared for that, and Laelaps does the job nicely. And that is our top 5 aberrant creature mods for ARK Survival Ascended. What do you think of this list? Is there anything you'd add to it? Or perhaps we've missed out on any mods available on the CurseForge platform? Please feel free to let us know in the comment section down below. And if you enjoyed this video and you'd like to see more of these, like and subscribe for more ARK Ascended mods videos, and keep an eye out for future videos. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.